Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today we have a very exciting video and one that I've wanted to film for a while now. I am going to relate books to Taylor Swift songs. So if you don't know, I love Taylor Swift. I am a huge Swiftie. I love all of her music, all of her albums. I am just obsessed. It is a huge part of my personality. Like reading is a huge part of my personality. So today I am going to pick 10 Taylor Swift songs, one from each of her albums, and then 10 books, and I am going to relate the songs to the books and just give a reason of why I think a song kind of correlates with a theme of one of these books. So let's get right into the video. So first up, we are going to go all the way back to Taylor's first album called Taylor Swift, and the song that I chose is called Mary's Song. And I think that song is related to the book The Summer I Turned Pretty. So if you don't know, Mary's Song follows like two childhood friends as they grow up and they fall in love. And The Summer I Turned Pretty also involves childhood friends who just grow up together and start relationships and have feelings for each other. And so they are very much related. I don't want to give anything else away about the book if you haven't read it. But I really recommend that you check this book out and you check that song out because, yeah, they are so similar and they have the same theme talked about in both. So I really recommend both the song and the book. Next up, I picked a song off of Fearless, Taylor's version, and I chose the song You Belong With Me, and I think that song relates to the book The Cheat Sheet. So You Belong With Me, it just talks about how a girl is trying to convince a guy that he belongs with her and that they should be together, and in the cheat sheet it follows Bree and Nathan, who are like high school friends and now they're grown up into adults, and Nathan is a pro football quarterback and Bree is a dance instructor, and this book follows both of their point of views, and they are both in love with each other, but they don't know that. Like, Bree is in love with Nathan, but Nathan doesn't know that, and Nathan is in love with Bree, but Bree doesn't know that. So it just follows both of them having feelings for each other and trying to navigate that relationship because they both think that the other person just wants to be friends. And so I think this really follows that song, You Belong With Me, because they are both kind of trying to convince the other person that, like, hey, we should be together, and they just don't realize that the other person agrees. So I think the song really fits with this book, so I really recommend checking out both the song and the book if you haven't, because they are both just, I mean, the song is incredible and this book is amazing and it has such a cute story. Okay, so the song that I chose off of Speak Now, Taylor's version, is Enchanted. And I think Enchanted reminds me of the book The Selection, or really just the whole Selection series in general. So Enchanted is just following the story of Taylor, or something that inspired Taylor to write about that moment when you first meet someone, you just have a great connection, and in the song it literally says, I was enchanted to meet you. And The Selection follows America Singer, who enters into this selection competition in order to basically get engaged to the prince in this story, and his name is Maxon. And it is basically kind of like a bachelorette retelling, but instead of just competing for a random person, they are competing for the prince's heart. And so, I don't know, it really just gives me the vibe, and it really just gives me Speak Now vibes in general, because, I mean, if you look at the cover of this book and all the other books in the series, they all have beautiful ball gowns, and so it just really gives me Speak Now, specifically Enchanted vibes, and I love this book so much, I love this series so much, and I knew as soon as I wanted to do like a Taylor Swift song themed video that I had to mention this book, specifically for Enchanted, because I feel like no one talks about this book or no one talks about the series, and it is incredible. So for sure, check out this book, especially if you like the song Enchanted or just like the fairy tale kind of mystical vibes, because that's really represented in this book. Okay, moving right along, the song that I picked off of Red, Taylor's version, is Everything Has Changed, featuring Ed Sheeran, and I think this song relates to the book better than the movies. So Better Than the Movies follows Liz and Wes. So they are next door neighbors and they kind of get along, but they're certainly not friends. I wouldn't say that they're enemies totally, but they don't like to spend time with each other. They don't like to hang out. And then one day, Michael, this boy who had previously gone to school with Liz and Wes, he left years before, but then he came back, and Liz had had feelings for him before. So she really wants to get Michael's attention, and she notices that Wes is kind of friends with him, and so she decides, in order to get Michael's attention, that she needs to fake date Wes. And so Liz and Wes end up fake dating in order to kind of get Michael's attention, just get her to notice Liz, because he is just not paying attention to her at all. And so Liz and Wes, who do not really get along, begin to fake date just for attention. And I think Everything Has Changed really relates to the story, because the song Everything Has Changed talks about like friends who kind of realize like that something is a little off in their relationship, and it's because, you know, maybe they have feelings for each other. And, you know, in Better Than the Movies, Liz and Wes start to spend more and more time together, and they realize that they actually do like each other's company, and that they actually get along very well, and that maybe there's something more there. So I think the song and the book really relate to each other. I really recommend that you read this book. It is such an easy read. It's very, very fast-paced, and it is like a young adult book, so I find that any young adult book is really, really fast for me to read. So I really recommend checking this out, especially if you like the song Everything Has Changed. And honestly, I love that song so much. I feel like the song is underrated. Like, this is a really popular book, but that's a very underrated song. So everyone needs to listen to that song. Watch the music video if you haven't, even though it came out like 11 years ago, but it's a great song, and like the vibes are just amazing. So be sure to check this book out, especially if you like the vibes of Everything Has Changed. Now we are going to talk about 1989 Taylor's version, and the song that I chose is actually one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time. It's definitely in my top 5, if not my top song, because I listen to it so much, and that is This Love. I love This Love. It is such an amazing song, and I cannot get enough of it. And I think that that song relates to Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. And Love in Other Words follows Macy, who is just kind of settling into her adult life. She is a pediatrics resident and is really like getting her life kind of set up and is really like enjoying her life. She's also engaged to an older man who has a very, very stable life, and so she's really just comfortable. And then one day she runs into Elliot, who is her first love, and like they were childhood friends, but then one night they broke up, lost contact, and hadn't seen each other for years. And so the book follows 2 different timelines. It follows Macy and Elliot when they met as like teenagers, kids, and when they kind of fell in love with each other. And then it follows them in their like adult life in the present day, where Macy is engaged to someone else, but she's running into Elliot and is kind of rediscovering the feelings that she once had for him, and maybe the feelings that she still has for him. So this book really follows like a second chance romance, second chance love, and if you know the song This Love, it follows the same story. I think they relate perfectly to each other, so if you like the song This Love, give this book a try, and I know that if you like that idea of a second chance love, then you will like this book, because it is a really, really good book. Next up, we have Reputation, and the song that I chose to talk about is Look What You Made Me Do, and I think that relates to Carrie Soto Is Back. So if you don't know, Carrie Soto Is Back follows a female professional tennis player named Carrie Soto, who is one of the best of all time. She ended up retiring because she hit a certain age where she couldn't play anymore, but when she retired, she was on top of the world, had like the most records for the Grand Slam titles. She had 20 of them, and so she was regarded as the best female tennis player. And then she retired, and then years later, it says 6 years after her retirement, Carrie is in the stands watching this match, and she sees a young girl named Nikki take her record, Carrie's record of having 20 Grand Slam titles. And so Carrie decides to come out of retirement at an older age, when she hasn't played tennis in 6 years, in order to win back her title, this fame that she has. She wants it back. She wants to once again be the best female tennis player. And so it really follows her journey of training, 6 years after she retired, and putting in all this time, and then it follows her playing these matches when she's 37 years old and trying to win back her, basically her title. And so I think it really relates to Look What You Made Me Do, and honestly the whole Reputation album, because obviously it has to do with Carrie's reputation, and she's also a very, very confident and almost, and a lot of times she's a very cocky tennis player. And so I think really the line that stuck out for me from Look What You Made Me Do specifically is, I don't trust nobody and nobody trusts me, because Carrie definitely does have trust issues. She is very specific in who she associates herself with as far as like training and practicing with. And also, not a lot of people just like her because, I mean, she is very cocky, and I think it's also, people not liking her also has to do with her just being a female, I feel like, because, I mean, she talks about it in the book too, that like, just because she's a female who is a cocky athlete, then people look down on her, as opposed to like males who were like that. But overall, it's just Reputation and Look What You Made Me Do. It fits so well with this book. So if you like that album and you like the idea of like someone who's really, really confident and is working hard to build up their reputation or take back their glory, then definitely check out this book. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and definitely my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I loved it so much. Okay, moving on to the Lover album, the song that I chose to talk about is Afterglow, and I think that song relates to Every Summer After. So Every Summer After follows a girl named Percy who has spent like many summers of her childhood and teenage years in this lakeside house, and the neighbors actually of this lakeside house, one of them is named Sam, and Percy and Sam got along so well when they were kids growing up together. They had a great connection and had an amazing friendship, and then eventually their friendship turned into a romantic relationship, but then everything fell apart, and then Percy returns to the lake years later for Sam's mother's funeral, and Percy is just kind of hoping to kind of maybe get that relationship back because they still have an amazing connection and they love spending time with each other, they love reconnecting, and Percy, it says on the back, but until Percy can confront the decisions she's made, they'll never know whether their love is bigger than the biggest mistakes of their past. So Percy was the one who kind of initially ended their relationship, and so she just has a lot to overcome before she can accept, or before she can really include Sam in her life again. And I think it really relates to the song Afterglow, because Afterglow just talks about like trying to get back with a love, and like in the chorus it says like, hey, it's on me, it was like my fault, I'm the one who burned it down. And so I think that just relates to this, because Percy knows that what she did in the past made an impact on their relationship. And so yeah, I think the song really relates to the book. So if you like that song, definitely give this book a try. It is a really, really fast read actually, and I definitely recommend reading it in the summer. I know we're in like December now, so you'd have to wait a little bit, but I mean, it's called Every Summer After. It's much better to read it when it's actually summer and it's not cold out. So I recommend checking this book out, especially if you like the song Afterglow. Now we are moving into the folklore era, and the song that I want to talk about is The Last Great American Dynasty, and I think that song relates to the book The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. So this book follows Evelyn Hugo, who was a very successful and famous actress from the 1950s to about the 1980s is when she kind of retired from fame. And over her career, not only was she very, very famous for being in incredible movies and was an award-winning actress, she was also famous because she was married 7 times during that time. And so this book follows Evelyn Hugo as she is well into retirement, and while she was retired, she never did an interview, she never explained like maybe why she got married to 7 different people or any decisions that she made throughout her career. But, later in her life, when she has been retired for a while, she contacts a writer named Monique Grant to write a story about Evelyn Hugo's life and to just document all the things that no one has ever heard Evelyn talk about. And so it just follows that as it kind of follows two different timelines. It follows Evelyn's past, kind of husband by husband, which is really interesting, and then it also follows the present day timeline of Monique interviewing Evelyn and learning all these things. And I think it relates to The Last Great American Dynasty because in that song it talks about this girl who lived in Holiday House who, like, I mean, in the song it says, like, they say she was seen on occasion, and I think that kind of, it has a similar vibe of Evelyn Hugo because Evelyn Hugo is very just secretive and very quiet in a lot of ways, and so yeah, that's, as soon as I thought of a song off of Folklore, I thought of The Last Great American Dynasty and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo because I think they just relate so much. So if you like that song at all, or if you like the idea of this book of learning about an actress from the 50s to 80s and her scandals, her life, her story, then definitely check out this book because it is incredible. It was definitely a 5-star read for me. I read it in like probably a day or two. I read it really, really fast. You can definitely fly through this book. So I highly recommend. Okay, the next album is Evermore, and the song I chose to talk about is No Body, No Crime, featuring Haim. And I think it relates to the book A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. So this book follows Pip, who is a senior in high school who is doing a capstone project for one of her classes. And she decides to investigate a murder that happened a few years prior in her town. And this murder was a high school girl was killed by her boyfriend, who then he killed himself after kind of admitting to the crime. And so Pip is investigating that case because she knew the high school boyfriend who was the alleged murderer, and she knew him pretty well, and he never seemed like he had that kind of hatred in him or that he would ever do that because she knew their relationship and they seemed like a happy couple, and so she just doesn't really believe it. And so for her project for school, she decides to investigate the story, and she starts to kind of uncover some truths and learns some protected and hidden secrets. And so I think it really related to No Body, No Crime because that is definitely one of Taylor Swift's most like creepy and mystery-based kind of songs because, I mean, in the song she's talking about someone covering up a murder, and so it just, I think it relates pretty well. I think it gives similar vibes of like a murder mystery kind of book and the murder mystery kind of song. So if you like that song or if this book sounds good to you, definitely check it out. This is actually a trilogy, and I believe it's also getting made into a TV series. And I think they've either started filming or they're almost maybe done filming. So I'm definitely excited to watch that TV series because I love this trilogy so much. I really should honestly reread these books because they are definitely some of the best books I've ever read, and I think they're kind of popular like on like Book Talk or even just YouTube. I think people talk about them, but I mean, I feel like a lot of people still haven't heard of these, so definitely check it out because they are amazing books. Okay, we have officially reached the last era, the last album. We are going to talk about Midnights, and the song I chose is The Great War. And I think The Great War relates to this book, The Hunger Games, or just the Hunger Games trilogy in general. So The Hunger Games follows just 12 districts that live in this post-war, post-destruction world. There are 12 districts and then the capital. And every year, a boy and a girl from each district is chosen at random, and they are sent to the capital to fight in what is known as the Hunger Games. And they fight to the deaths, and there is one winner at the end of it. And this book specifically follows Katniss and then Peeta, who are the District 12 chosen kids to fight to the death in the Hunger Games. It follows their story, and I really think it just relates to the song The Great War because although the Hunger Games isn't technically a war, it's technically what they do post-rebellion war in the Hunger Games, it is definitely a war because they are just sending 24 kids in this dome to fight to the death. So I think it relates definitely to the Great War. So if you like that song, you should definitely read The Hunger Games if you haven't. Okay, so we made it through the 10 songs that I chose from 10 different Taylor Swift albums. Let me know what you guys think about this video. I could definitely do another part, if not many more parts, because Taylor Swift has a lot of songs, and I feel like for every Taylor Swift song there is definitely at least one book that relates to it. So once again, just let me know what you guys think about this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more book content, and I will see you in the next video.